Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
It's back. Hot barbecue sauce is back at Buffalo Wild Wings. That classic smoky sweet barbecue with a spicy heat. A true fan favorite has returned and your wings are waiting. Come and taste the sweetness of heat. Hot barbecue sauce back at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis, a podcast dedicated to the Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell case. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. What's going on, everybody? It is Sunday, and it's been a hot minute since we've had an episode out for you guys.
Yeah, it's like December, wasn't it?
It was before Christmas.
Yeah, like the 22nd, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yep. I first want to say thank you for everybody for your prayers on my uncle's passing. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, so many people reached out, and we were going to do a podcast, and then your uncle passed away from COVID, and so we've had a few weeks where we've had some things going on, but the number of messages was just insane.
Yep, and I'm truly grateful, and thank you very much.
Yeah, it's been a rough few weeks for Fruit Loop, and so we're just thankful that we're able to come back and do another episode and try to get back into some normalcy.
Yep.
After a crazy few weeks, my son and daughter had COVID, so we've been on lockdown for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
crazy.
Oh yeah. So I finally got a negative test the day before yesterday, but my 9-year-old daughter, she said, if your test comes back positive and we have to start quarantine over, I'm going to find the nearest cliff and I'm going to throw myself off of it.
That sounds like her.
I had fun in quarantine. I love hanging out with my kids. I have redecorated my house for like the 4th time since last March.
It looks good.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting there. I'm just doing things here and there. But so there's been some stuff happening since the last time we were on.
There's like all kind of stuff.
All kinds of stuff, yeah. Before we get into the hearing and all the things that came in the last few weeks, it just hit me today that Melanie Pulaski should be having her unsupervised visitation at this point with the kids.
Yeah, I'd completely forgot about that till you said that.
Yeah, and I was wrong when we did the previous podcast because honestly, my theory was that they're going to charge her with something before she ever gets unsupervised visitation.
Yep.
But that's come and gone. And then the more I think about it, it's one of those situations where I guess if they ever charge her with anything, I guess she does have a right to her kids.
Yeah, it's just scary.
It is scary just with the whole situation. But, I was just thinking, like, why? How could she get unsupervised after everything that went on? But,
yeah,
I guess pending charges just doesn't count in family court. Who knows? But, hopefully the kids are doing okay. Kids are very resilient. Yeah. But it has to be strange because they have really young kids. And I was thinking after a year, I bet the youngest didn't even know who she was.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be hard. I
can't imagine just leaving my kids.
Yep.
Just,
nope.
Getting in a car, leaving, putting their stuff on the corner, on the curb, whatever. Yeah. So we had that hearing last week.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Some of that was like... It was like torture.
Oh my goodness. I'm probably, I need prayers for saying this, but it reminded me of when I was younger and I was in church and you struggle to stay awake.
Yeah. Nodding off. We got a nod or.
Yeah. I was oh my gosh. That thing lasted probably like 8 hours total. Could have been done in an hour.
Yeah. It was it was funny because I would text you something and you're like, oh, wait, I done walked out of the room. I didn't even hear what he said.
Oh, my gosh. Like, yeah. I ran errands.
Yeah.
I'd come back. They were still on the same subject.
Yeah.
We're still whining about the same stuff. But
yeah.
So this was the motion to disqualify Rob Wood, the prosecutor.
Yep. And Chad and Lori were not there.
No.
Like, when's the last time we seen her?
It's been a while. I don't know the date. Maybe like August, July or August, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been, I think, wasn't when she was in like that blue sweater or something?
I think that
may have been the last.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, these are all stuff that they don't have to come to, but you know, it's, in the beginning, it seemed like she really liked the limelight, and you hear the stories of her waiting for her news story to come on. And I don't know, I guess maybe almost a year in the clink has deadened the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I know, and I've heard inmates say this. I used to serve civil documents on inmates. They were excited for a court date because they got to leave.
Yeah, it's a few hours out of your cell.
Yeah.
Although it did look like maybe Means and Pryor were at their offices, which we know are hours away.
Yep. From
where Chad and Lori both are. So I guess it's a way to not have to, drive for 4.5 hours. And
yep.
You could put a cardboard cutout of Chad beside John Pryor.
You wouldn't notice the difference.
And because I tell you, I always wait to see if he blinks.
Yeah.
So anyways, and we don't have anything really coming up.
No.
Because they vacated that hearing at the end of this month because in Idaho, they're still not having jury trials.
Yep.
So I think the next one maybe is like August. It's
possibly. I think, July or August, right?
Yeah. It's going to be a while before we have anything else. But then again, these crazy things that pop up, who knows how many more pointless hearings we'll have.
Yeah. Some of these documents get released and all.
When they're not heavily redacted, but.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this motion to disqualify. So John Pryor was saying that Rob Wood, the prosecutor, he had tried to arrange this meeting 2 or 3 times before.
Yep. And it just they couldn't get their schedules together, I guess, or something.
Right. But I think Zulema reached out to Rob Wood this go round to arrange this.
Yeah, that was one of the things because they were questioning that because that's what Rob Wood said in his I don't know, what do you call the affidavit? And they were questioning it, but then her attorney, Garrett Smith, says, well, she could have done that before I was her attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And Rob Wood had been to Arizona for interviews twice before this one, and apparently had been meeting with other people who potentially are witnesses, which we know Melanie Gibb lives out there. You got Melanie Pulowski, Brandon Bourdreau.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people out there that are witnesses. And so we know this was his 3rd trip.
Yep. The thing that stuck out to me when they said this word, my ears were like, what? When they say Zulema has immunity.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I mean, why didn't we hear anything from her?
Yeah, that's interesting because...
You've said this all along, your reason.
She's the star witness.
Yep.
She knows probably if she has immunity, I would say that she probably knows the most. I don't know, or just has some kind of information that's very critical.
Yep.
Because if you remember, Melanie Gibb said on the stand that she did not have immunity.
Yep. They asked,
so, as far as we know right now, Zulema is the only one, but she was married to Alex, even if just for 2 weeks.
But we have some other stuff that we're going to discuss that goes along with it, but she knew him before, so
right, yeah, yeah,
never know.
But immunity, that's a pretty big deal, and yeah, we'll talk about the immunity later. I don't want to get too far off because you know me, I'll go way out in left field.
So Summer and Zulema's attorney Garrett Smith recorded the conversation during a meet and greet with Wood. So I guess they met before she went in to talk to the detectives, which is something that normally happens. But so during the meet and greet, he recorded whatever. And he gave a copy to Mark Means.
Yeah. Which, when he was giving his testimony during this, he flip-flopped a little bit about when he turned that recording on. Because at first he said it was before he went in, and then he said it was once he walked in, and then like the third excuse was that the conversation was getting inappropriate, and so then he decided to record it.
Yeah, because he makes a statement about Woods bringing his witness in with him, the deputy.
Right, yeah.
And he was like, oh, this might be important.
Yeah, it's so it's just, they were literally like A, B, or C.
It sounded like he just set his phone up on the table, but you can do that, and Wood wouldn't have known.
No, you could put your phone face down or you can actually just put it on like a voice, like an Apple phone. You could put it on a voice record.
Yeah,
and
you can close out the app.
You can
not close it out, but like take it off the screen.
Yeah, you just like rest your phone or whatever, and your screen's black, and you can record anybody anytime without probably them having a clue.
Yep.
The thing that bothered me, other than the fact that he couldn't get his story straight of when he decided to record this, is, for me, it just seems planned.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. If you are going to set up a recording, number one, you've got to pull up the app. You've got to select you want a new recording. And then usually when you hit record, there's like a little audible tone so that you know it's recording. I just feel like he had to have planned all this out.
Yep.
I'm just not buying one of the 3 versions. None of them make sense to me.
My thing is this too. I mean, he's an attorney, and wouldn't it make sense if he just said, why else would you not tell Wood you're recording?
Yeah, because you're trying to be sneaky.
Yeah. You want something to hold over somebody's head. I mean, that's my initial thought.
Right. And the thing is this, just like Rob Wood's attorney said, well, if you thought the conversation was getting inappropriate, why didn't you speak up and say, hey, look, my client's not going to continue this conversation. We're going to leave.
Yeah. He laughed, he joked, he made comments, et cetera, et cetera. It was crazy. And I don't know if you guys heard the recording, but at the end, like, and I don't even know if we talk about this, but I mean, Wood gets emotional at the end.
He does.
Like, you can hear in his voice, because he said in the end, it's all about the kids.
It is.
And Summer gave him some bracelets or whatever. And I mean, he was emotional. So I'm like, dude, that's.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Rob Wood's job is we know it's not your typical 9-to-5 job. I'm sure when he's home and he's relaxing and got his feet up, he's thinking about this case.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to think that they used this. Now, there were some legal pundits who thought that he was at risk for being removed, mainly because of the religious aspect. That was the one thing people kind of picked out as the problem area.
Yeah.
But so Pryor, what did Pryor say about Wood?
So Pryor says Wood acted like a witness in the case and asked Garrett Smith if he knew he was going to meet Rob Wood, only for him to talk 18 minutes about the case.
Yeah. Well.
Then he talked about rules of conduct and referred a few times to certain things being taught year 1 in law school.
Yeah. And Pryor, we've definitely. Sorry. No, you're good. Hey, don't let that happen again.
Yeah, no, I got a frog in my throat. Ribbit.
The thing for me is that you guys know that I think Pryor comes across as very condescending and kind of holier than thou. But like 3 or 4 times he kept saying, and they teach this in the first year in law school. And it really got on my nerves, because I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, Rob Wood's a lawyer. It's almost like he was acting like he knew more than Rob Wood. Like, oh, first year law school, he should know this. And he was very repetitive in several condescending things he said, and that was one of the things that really just.
Yeah, and I've watched several different attorneys just talk about this whole thing, and they didn't feel that Wood had done anything, out of the ordinary. So yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, to me, it almost seems like you would want to have sort of a relaxed meeting, kind of like this in the beginning, because ultimately, Rob Wood is trying to gain.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
In Summer's trust.
Yeah.
Because in the future, she may open up to him more about things if she feels like, she can trust him. And she should. I mean, I know that there's a conflict with Lori being her sister and then Rob Wood is the prosecutor for the kids. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of pulling emotionally in both directions. But at the end of the day, you would hope that Summer, and it seems like maybe Summer is pro-prosecution.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it's her sister. I totally get, and she says in there she struggles because she loves her sister,
but that's human.
Yeah, exactly. But you had a niece and a nephew who lost their life because of your sister
in a brutal way.
Yeah,
and I think that sometimes we want to make villains out of anybody associated with Chad or Lori before all this. And I think that's kind of natural. Everybody wants to find the bad in anybody related to Lori, but I don't understand where Summer's coming from, but I'm sympathetic to how it's got to be kind of a pull situation.
Yeah, and we know she had to give him permission to share that.
Right.
With, means. So I don't know. It's like, what the world?
Yeah.
So Smith said that the mention
of the death penalty
may have been meant to get testimony out of Summer that would benefit the prosecution. I don't see that.
No. I don't either.
She asked the question. That's what annoyed me so much.
Right.
Wood didn't mention it. She asked.
Yeah, she flat out asked, very matter of fact.
Is this a death penalty case? Are you seeking the death penalty? Whatever she said, but she brought it up. She asked. And he gave a very heartfelt answer.
Right. And I think at the end of the day, I don't think Wood's going to go for death because I think there's going to be a question of mental illness, and that is just going to muddy the waters.
Yeah.
At the end, regardless, she's not going anywhere. But
and we're not saying that because we know there's no mental illness in Idaho or whatever.
Right. But at the same time, I mean, it's an option in Idaho. I mean, all Summer had to do was Google it. Yeah, she knows that it's, they do that there.
Yeah.
But why would you think that was wrong for her to say, are you going to go after death?
Yeah,
and Wood, like you say, he gives a very heartfelt look. We don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, he said it drags a whole family through years and years and years of appeals and all kind of stuff. Like, I mean, everything he said to me he's a very caring guy.
Yeah.
And I've seen people post on social media about him that know him and say he's like this amazing guy. And you can tell in what he says. And I'm going to be honest. I mean, the stuff he said about Means and them, I thought it was funny. But.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's off the cuff. Okay. Yeah. So maybe that's sort of one area where people could find fault.
Yeah. He wasn't professional.
But he's human. I mean, look. Rob Wood has seen JJ and Tally's bodies. He has seen the product of Chad and Lori. So, if he mentions that Chad looked like he wanted to pee himself when Lori's getting served with an order to bring the kids back to Idaho, oh my God,
it was truth.
Who cares?
It wasn't a lie.
You have to understand what Rob Wood has seen and what he knows, and it's way more than any of us do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just kind of like, we can't say. Maybe it wasn't the most professional thing, but I mean, come on,
But then they questioned Pryor's like, well, why was he even in Hawaii? I mean, well, he's prosecuting the case. Maybe it means that much to him. He wanted to be there when he saw her get arrested.
I mean, it's.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm like, you go, dude.
It's a free country.
Yeah,
he can be wherever he wants.
Maybe he was vacating. He was on vacation.
Yeah, hey, go serve a warrant or whatever and get some sun. But I mean, to me, that just speaks of Rob Wood's dedication to the case. He could have sent agents out there and just stayed home.
Yep.
He wanted to be there in case anything went wrong or if anything was needed. And so what?
Exactly.
So he made an observation about Chad that maybe wasn't the most adult thing to say, but I mean, I thought it was funny.
I did. It was truth.
Of course, I have the humor of a 13-year-old boy. So, but I mean, the bottom line is that these are all probably burning questions that Summer had, and this was her chance to talk about them.
Yeah.
So I mean, at no point did Summer say, "Hey, look, I'm not comfortable with this. I think maybe we should not talk."
Yep.
So
yeah.
But Pryor just said that he felt like the meeting was more of Rob Wood's narrative about the case than it was anything. And then Pryor said that Rob Wood used his position as an elder in the church or a past elder, I don't know which one.
Bishop, yeah.
Mm-hmm. To make himself seem more valid to Summer. And I just don't. That's a stretch.
I don't see it either.
If you and I are the same religion and we're talking about something having to do with that common religion we share, if I say, well, yeah, I mean, I'm this and
exactly.
So are you. And so you understand when I say this isn't normal.
Yeah.
This isn't normal theology. This is whatever.
Yeah. I don't think he was saying it to get her to say anything.
No. I mean, listening to that, it seemed like a very normal conversation between a prosecutor and somebody connected to the case in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
There was nothing that made me nervous or made me think, oh, he shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. Yep. So Wood's attorney says to Smith that he could have stopped this conversation at any time if he felt it crossed the line into being inappropriate. And Smith said, no, he didn't. He didn't. He agreed. He did not. He didn't stop it. Mm-hmm. To me, that's a red flag.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going in as to represent your client, to make sure that this meeting is appropriate in every way, and you feel like you have to make a recording and bring it up after the fact, you didn't do your job during the fact.
Exactly.
Or the more likely scenario is you're throwing crap to the wall and see what sticks. And in the meantime, you've wasted a day of the court.
Oh. And us, we don't get that time.
Oh
back.
My gosh, man! I'm telling you what, I've had more fun watching paint dry.
Yes. Yeah.
I was going to throw myself off a cliff if that hearing went much longer.
Yeah. So Evans, who is I don't want to say attorney. I mean, he's an attorney, but
yeah, he is. He represents.
Represents Wood. That's right. He says that everybody was joking throughout that. And they did, like when certain comments were made, they did laugh some, and it was kind of light. So,
can I just say that the first witness, Dr. Davidson, he was the most boring expert on the history of the planet.
Yeah, he's highly intelligent, but it was like his explanation took like 20 minutes per question.
Oh my gosh, this dude was paid $275 an hour.
And he is now on a beach in Hawaii.
Yeah. He now owns the island of Kauai.
Exactly.
Yeah. He made a 24-page report of the transcript. I'm going to say for him to get through the first 2 pages took him an hour.
Yeah.
I literally texted you and I was like, it's going to be a long afternoon.
Yep.
So then they started talking about how Rob Wood created what they call this inner circle bias, where... In other words, what he's accusing Rob Wood of doing is bringing her in where she feels like she's in the know on the inside, in the loop. And Pryor's argument is that it taints witness testimony.
And I'm sorry. I mean, people, they do know how to ask questions to get in your mind, get in your head and stuff. That was the dumbest... Because it was all speculation. Yeah. It was, Wood may have thought this.
Right.
And it may have caused Summer to do. And I'm like, what the world?
Yeah, they're assuming.
Yeah.
But, every single hearing that they've had, John Pryor has always had his little Jack Nicholson, A Few Good Men, passionate argument moments.
Yeah.
Where his face gets red and he gets very assertive. And in fact, he apologized. Apparently they had a hearing. Maybe it was the first one.
Or I don't know if it was a hearing. It was something they must have met behind closed doors or something.
Yeah. And he apologized to the judge and to Rob Wood for being like in a bad mood that day.
Yeah, how he acted or something.
But
he was inappropriate, he said, or something.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, Pryor is and I've said this every time we talked about Pryor. Love him or hate him, he's doing what he's got to do. I mean,
it's so annoying.
It is so annoying. But I mean, he's really trying to file everything he can to see if he can get a break. There were maybe 2 objections he made the whole time that were sustained. A few times you could tell the judge was getting really irritated with Pryor or his witnesses.
Yeah.
That judge, a few times, he looked so dead inside.
Okay, when he would say, okay, Mr. Pryor, do you have anything? And I'm like, don't even ask him.
Yeah, I know.
I know he has to, but I'm like, oh, don't ask.
Yeah. So this Dr. Davidson, he just went on and on and on. And then Dr. Newton, who is the professor of law at University of Idaho, he was the second expert witness.
Okay.
And then there was this whole question of whether or not he was even qualified. And then, so then Newton's like, well, I can't make an expert opinion. And I'm like, well, why are you here?
Yeah.
So
I don't think he was deemed. Well, he wasn't deemed as an expert witness. I don't think.
I think he was.
Did they see? I know they objected.
They objected, but he was allowed to testify because I think the argument was sort of he can't say whether or not this was actually legal or illegal, and
the whole thing was he won't put in his paper if it was this, did this taint? Did it? I can't make that. Decision. The court has to make that decision,
right? And that was sort of the basis of whether or not he could even be admitted.
Yeah,
but he was.
Yeah.
And then Pryor throughout the hearing would say randomly, "If we were at trial," and I'm like, "But we're not at a trial."
Yeah, if a jury was here.
If we're not there.
And that was some of the arguments they made with the evidence. Not evidence, but whatever. It is evidence, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The expert stuff was, well, if this happened at trial in front of a jury.
Yeah.
And Evans, that was one of his things he said. He's like, all the things you've brought out is in front of a jury, and there's not a jury here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then their own expert witness says, I've never seen a prosecutor removed for anything like this. Maybe a taint hearing or something. But so their own, probably $275 an hour is like, I've never seen one removed.
And Pryor would be like, in your expert opinion, and he's like, well, I can't really say that for sure.
Yeah.
So it was crazy, comical, a waste of time.
Oh, such a waste of time.
I'm gonna tell you who everybody needs to buy her a steak and baked potato and send her to Hawaii for a month is the court reporter.
Oh yeah, that lady.
I mean, her name was Tina. Tina's hands had to be cramping.
Yeah.
Golly.
Poor Tina.
Because, Mr. Davidson saying all that stuff, I'm like, finally the judge was like, I don't think we have to read through this whole thing. You read it.
Yeah.
Because she was having to type everything he was saying.
Oh, yeah. Bless her heart.
Yeah. So, Tina, I don't know if you're listening. You go, girl.
How about Dr. Newton's? His dog was barking. He had some weird green screen behind him. It
was so funny. Like, he would move and his head would like warp into something else. Like it was pretty funny. Yeah. And then his kid came in. He was like, "Oh, sorry, I got to go shut this door." Kids are home from school or something. Yeah. It was funny.
But one thing that Newton said was the death penalty comment might have been designed to have Summer convince Lori to talk to authorities. Okay, how's this bad?
Well, I mean, we already know she was possibly going to, and Chad talked her out of it.
Right. I mean, but it's like, according to Newton, she might talk to her sister now and tell her to cooperate with authorities. How is this bad?
I'm gonna tell you, I'll be jerking my sister up.
Heck yeah!
You better speak the truth.
Yeah. But I just thought it was secret. Is this a secret that it'll make things better for her possibly if she cooperates or tell them what she knows?
Nobody else knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wood wanted to call some.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, But you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Summer as a witness. Wood's attorney said Summer wanted to talk to the court. So that, I mean, it looks like she didn't want all this hoopla about the meeting. It seems like that Smith and Pryor and Means made a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, and the way it went was there was a, I believe an affidavit that was entered in. It was Maggie, what was her name? Maggie Gee, who is an assistant at Rob Wood's office. So,
Mandy Gee.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So we don't know for sure, but kind of the way we sort of pieced it together is, if you can picture it, this meeting happens. Summer, either according to the attorney, she knew about the recording before they even went in the meeting. But let's say that maybe after the meeting, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to try to get him removed. It seems to me like maybe Summer called Rob Wood's office and talked to this assistant because they had an affidavit for her. Yep. And Summer must have wanted to give a statement to the court or assure the court that this conversation did not mess anything up. That's all I can kind of piece together.
Yeah. Now, could that have happened like after the first day that she sat and listened to all that?
I mean, it could have, but this was after the meeting with Rob Wood, after the recording was known, and probably after Pryor and Means made a fuss about it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if it happened like when she heard like how they were carrying on like the first day in this hearing.
It could have been.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and she's like, wait a minute, that is nothing like what.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
If it would have been earlier, they could have called her as a witness. So to me, it sounds like she's like, oh, wait, whoa. I didn't think any of that, you know?
That's a really good point. I didn't even think that either.
Yeah. We hadn't discussed that part of it, but.
Yeah. That's a really, really good point. But the judge just, they did not want Summer. The defense did not want Summer to come testify. They really objected.
Yeah. And I'm like, this whole thing you've just argued was based on what you think Summer thought.
Right.
Why wouldn't you bring her in to start with? Because they knew she didn't think like that.
Right. And then it would, as if they didn't blow their own case out of the water, bringing stupid, arguments to court. That really, they did not want her to testify.
Yeah. Like you spent money paying these professional like experts to tell you what she might be thinking when you could just ask her.
Right.
And
it doesn't fit your narrative. So.
Did this make you feel this way?
Oh,
no.
We don't need to hear from her.
Exactly.
We're just going to tell you what she might have felt.
Exactly. Exactly.
And, but eventually, Pryor made clear that he intended to investigate to see if perhaps anybody else that Rob Woods talked to might have, in his mind, been influenced.
I'm going to tell you, and then he makes this statement, and we discussed this part. When he was doing his little closing argument, he basically threatened the judge.
Yeah.
If you don't rule in our favor, this is what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah.
And he talks about questioning all the witnesses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In the end, we know they didn't disqualify Wood. The judge did say he heard some things that were somewhat concerning, and he suggested that maybe Rob would apologize to Means and Pryor for... I'm sorry. Yeah. Will you be my friend?
Yeah. You go apologize. You called him a name.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So funny. That's all. at the end of the day, all they said was, if Summer is a witness, we will definitely have to have a taint hearing, which means that they'll bring her in, find out if, in fact, she was influenced by Rob Wood. And the last thing they discussed was they were going to schedule a conference call about other hearings that are coming up, which aren't going to be soon, but they haven't announced any new hearings. So...
Yep.
So we're going to move on to the incident report on Alex's death that was released.
Yeah, there was some crazy stuff in all this.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. And we just heard that Gilbert PD did officially close that investigation.
Yeah, so I guess it will be natural causes, which you and I were talking about this right before we started. I'm okay with that. And I know a lot of people are not. And it's very suspect. I get it.
Yep.
I get the situation. But I mean, the FBI was there when he was having his autopsy. I'm sure that they've double checked any kind of results, and
it's hinky.
It is so hinky.
Yeah.
But you have to look what he was facing. Alex knows, he knew everything. So at the point where he dies, you've got the search warrants have already been executed in Rexburg.
Yep.
Everybody has fled the ship. Everybody's gone their separate ways.
Them rats is running.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the day before, obviously, Tammy Daybell is exhumed. And so at this point, I think Alex knew the walls were starting to close in. So he did have blood pressure issues. I is suspect, but I'm just saying, I'm not ruling out that maybe something didn't happen that was wonky. But I kind of do trust that this was natural.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just crazy.
I don't either.
It's crazy. So in all this paperwork, we found some little glitches of like stuff. So Zulema, like when the detective starts talking to her, the first thing she asks is, why are you questioning me? And am I a suspect in my husband's death?
Yeah, that's...
And we're like, what? Who says that?
Yeah.
Like, so then we get the immunity term, and you looked all that up.
Yes. So the immunity that she has, as far as I can tell, so in other words, her testimony at trial, it won't be used against her in court, but she can still be prosecuted on evidence of other things.
So evidence of others.
Yeah, I don't know what that, I'm literally reading you guys a definition. So it just seems like we've discussed like what? And I think maybe is it a situation where she knows enough to where she's not a major player as far as a crime goes, but just after the fact knew stuff that she should have went to the cops with? Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what she knows.
So what that's saying is if somebody else has evidence that they can go on that evidence, what she says they can't prosecute her for what she tells them.
Right.
But if somebody else tells them that she had a role in something, then
and they can prove
they can
right.
use that.
Yeah. But
makes sense.
Her knowledge of what happened or after the fact, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be a situation where I just don't know that anybody other than Chad and Lori and Alex are going to know specifics about the kids' deaths.
I hope he told her.
Yeah.
It's the only thing we have. Like,
it is. It's the only way I think we would have a clear picture of why.
Yeah.
And I think we may know why, but I mean, it's going to give insight if she knows into those three, into their mindset when this happened. What was the ultimate goal of killing the kids?
Yep. Exactly.
So it's all going to be very interesting if it goes to trial. I mean, it could be a situation where in a year you got Chad and Lori, just pleading guilty.
Yeah.
I hope not, because then we'll never know.
Yep.
So what about Zulema at the hospital?
So when the detective got there, she was sitting next to his body. So at first she didn't want to talk to him, and she's upset. I mean, I understand that, but she finally agrees to talk to him. And they discuss. So her son Joseph was at home. So he starts asking her questions and all that, and that's when she says, "Am I a suspect?" and all that stuff. But then we get into, oh, your cat scared me.
Oh, sorry.
You said you would be in that little thing over there. Sorry. What's his name?
Sherlock,
that's right. He just crawled up my leg.
I should have named him Satan.
You should have. That cat is mean.
I know, right?
He is so mean.
He loves me, though. He cuddles. He headbutts me and like rubs his face against mine. We've totally bonded.
Look, when I drove your Jeep home, he rode like sitting on my neck for so many hours.
It's so funny, though, because my oldest daughter, like, she can walk across the room and he goes out of his way to attack her. I don't know what's up with like that one relationship, but it's very strange.
Yeah, I feel the love.
My daughter said I may accidentally leave the front door cracked. Not sure.
Let him out. Let him out. So anyways, it goes through and tells you like what Joseph, all the deals with all that.
Yeah. Can I just say how karma sort of came full circle? So if you remember the 911 call that Alex made when he murdered Charles Vallow.
Very cold.
Alex was not very interested in doing CPR.
Oh, I don't know how to do that.
And when Joseph called 911, when Alex was on the floor of the bathroom dying, Joseph didn't want to do CPR either.
Nope.
They both were like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll pass. I mean, it's just, it was literally almost the same tone.
Yeah.
As when Charles lay there dead.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. So there were some things about his health, though. Well, in the hospital, the detective is talking to Zulema, and her son comes in and says what?
Her son-in-law comes in and says, I think the officer had to step out to take a call. When he came back in, her son-in-law had come in and says, you'll have to speak with her attorney.
Okay.
So he cuts it off.
Now, in a normal world, your new husband has just collapsed and died on your bathroom floor. And the two things that you say that are the big red flags, am I a suspect and talk to my attorney? This is just after what's supposedly a natural death.
Yeah. Like, what are you scared of?
Yeah. I mean, obviously being on the defense, because I'm going to tell you, if somebody dies in my house and they're asking me questions about what happened, I'm not going to say, am I a suspect?
No, I'm gonna give them anything. They can ask me anything. I'll tell them anything. I vacuumed,
Right, yeah.
I'll tell them my whole day.
Because that was just a red flag to me, is why would you need to speak to an attorney when you're just relaying what you walked into, which is your husband on the floor, and you start CPR?
Yeah. So we do know that Alex's shortness of breath started on December 6th.
Mm-hmm.
December 7th, he traveled to Mexico. He drove like over 3 hours to get medicine for him and her.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
There's a doctor's care, I'm sure, near Gilbert.
Yeah. And I know it's cheaper, whatever.
Well,
But
I get that. But okay, here's the thing. You can get prescription drugs in Mexico. I mean, is he guessing what he should take?
I know it's like there's so many contradictions in her interview.
Yeah.
I mean, she says he's healthy. He doesn't have anything wrong with him. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. Like all this stuff.
Right.
He's healthy. I've never seen him, Then he got shortness of breath and couldn't do this and couldn't do that. It's hanky.
Yeah,
it's hanky.
but he didn't want to go to the doctor because he said he didn't trust him.
Yep.
But that's pretty typical of people in cults. They typically don't trust like government and doctor. You know what I'm saying? It seems to be kind of a divine healing over medical, but it was enough for him to drive to Mexico.
Yeah.
For 3 hours. I'm just saying, 3 hours, he drives to Mexico for maybe some amoxicillin.
Yeah.
I'm going to say we don't know the whole story.
Yeah. Something ain't right with that.
You don't drive 3 hours to get something. You can go 10 minutes down the road and probably get, if not what you want, close to it. And I don't think you can go to Mexico and get pain pills. I mean, it's not like you can drive down there and get like Oxycontins without a prescription.
Well, I'm going to tell you, if you're having trouble breathing, this cat is attacking me over here.
I'm sorry.
If you have trouble breathing, you're not going to want to take, ow. You're not, he's literally biting me on the leg. Sorry, y'all. Crazy cat. Now you're gonna hear me meow. If you're not having trouble breathing, you don't want to take pain medicine.
Right.
Because that's going to slow you breathing down that much more.
Right. My whole point is, why would you assume you know what medication you need, drive 3 hours? 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
That's over 6 hours.
You're not going to Mexico for some light medications. Mm-mm. I'm sorry. There's something else going on in Mexico. I would love to see like Border Patrol security.
They got
footage.
video. They got it. You know, the FBI, they already got it. They look, they seeing. They're looking at it.
Yeah. I'm sure all that's like known to them, but I'd be curious to see, did he go alone? Did he come out alone? Any kind of surveillance in the town?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just a big red flag.
So another part of this, what was said was, Zulema says that a friend of Alex's gave a blessing over the phone.
Yeah.
Now we know, and it was just verified, I think, by East Idaho News, right? That it was Chad.
According to multiple sources.
Multiple sources.
It was Chad that gave him a blessing over the phone when he was gasping.
Yeah. So we had, and I don't understand a lot of the LDS religion, and you guys are awesome and reach out when we have a question. You give us information and say, this is what it means. That's what it means. So I didn't know, like when I saw that, I'm thinking like Catholics, you know, when they're about to die, they get their last rites read to them or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a listener reach out and kind of explain what that blessing means. And it's kind of like 3 different areas is what he explained. That the blessing could be take your meds and listen. Now, this is all paraphrased. Take your meds and listen to your doctors and you will be healed. Another one could be this is your personal test and you're being blessed to be able to endure it. Like kind of like God says you aren't being physically healed right now, but everything will be okay. And then the last one, you will be healed according to your faith. Huh. So when you look at it that way, it's totally different. If this is Chad and he's given this blessing to Alex, he has a lot of control over what he's going to do.
Yeah, because you would think if Chad really cared about his brother-in-law, he would say, hey, dude, go get checked out. You sound pretty rough.
Yeah.
So we're thinking the blessing was go lay down and see if you feel better.
Yeah, and I know I helped you bury the kids in my yard.
Right. Yeah, he's probably blessing him, crossing his fingers. He meets his maker.
Exactly. That is when this guy explained all that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's red flag after red flag. Mm-hmm. That's just, you're having control over whether you tell him to go to the doctor. Yeah. Or, oh, it'll be okay. Mm-hmm. Like,
I wonder if Lori was upset when Alex died. I mean, she didn't show it in any of the footage we saw in Hawaii, but I wonder, like, is she that far gone that none of that matters to her? Did she see that as like a divine plan, part of the process? Or, because they just seem so inseparable their whole life. I mean, if you look at from the time they were kids, from what we know up until he died, they were always sort of connected.
Yep.
Not far from each other as far as hanging out and doing things together. I don't know. It's always been a very weird thing to me. But I don't know. I've always wondered.
Yeah. So after that conversation was over with Chad, then somebody texts Zulema to check on Alex. So we're assuming that's Lori. Because I want to say Melanie Pulowski said in one of her interviews she did.
I'm pretty sure I remember that too.
Yeah, that Lori texts Zulema to check on Alex.
Yeah.
So another key thing to me, that like what we just talked about, Lori texts Zulema to check on Alex. Like we were talking about this, and I said, if I'm in Botswana and I'm talking to you and you feel ill and I like seriously ill, like you're going to die ill, I'm going to call 911 myself.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So another question that the police asked Zulema was if Alex had any visitors. And I was like, uh-oh.
Well, you have to remember at the time, though, the FBI was already on Alex's trail.
They knew everything.
Because they were present at his autopsy, which was probably that day or the next day. And they had mentioned in their report that he was, associated with other investigations.
Yep.
So I think they were further ahead as far as their investigation into the trio than we know.
Yeah.
Just to be able to have somebody from the FBI there for that autopsy spoke volumes to me as far as at least they were starting to put together their... And then you have to understand, this is only, a couple of weeks after the welfare check?
Yeah, the welfare check was on the 26th.
So they move pretty fast. I mean, if you think about just you've got Gilbert police calling Rexburg. Rexburg goes to check. Within a week and a half to 2 weeks, they had to have gotten the FBI involved.
Yeah, and if you remember, Kay said that the detective called her and said, "Are you sitting down?"
Yeah.
And tells her that Alex has died.
Right, yeah. That had to have been just crazy with everything going on, because at that point, just the kids were missing.
Yeah.
And then you find out, Charles is dead, Tammy Daybell's dead, now Alex is dead. It just, it blows the mind.
Yeah. So the police asked Zulema if Alex had any visitors. Zulema says yes, that Melanie Pulowski and her new husband Ian came for Thanksgiving. I think your wording there just means they were, because they didn't marry till the 30th. So that would have been the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. She might have just said husband and I don't think there's anything there.
So another big part of this was Zulema downplaying knowing Lori.
Yeah.
And I can't think of another reason why you would do it unless you know something.
Well, it's the same thing that Chad did when they did the welfare check. I mean, he acted like he barely knew Lori, and that was his wife.
Yeah, he didn't have her phone number. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, look, if I had to recall a phone number right now, I'd be in trouble. I haven't remembered a phone number since like 2000 because they're all stored. But still, I mean, Chad really was like, oh, yeah, I kind of know her.
Okay, take one of your, 60 phones?
Yeah.
Take one of your 60 phones and scroll through.
Tally said she looked like a drug dealer.
Yeah. Yeah. So Zulema says she didn't know where Lori lived and also stated she wasn't married. Now, that's red flag for me.
Huge red flag.
I mean, it's huge. So Lori and Chad married on November 5th. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, they sent pics to everybody, a lot of people with them on the beach getting married.
Yeah.
I just say there's no way Alex didn't know she got married.
And Zulema, we know she was at what was it that was it the meeting
with Melanie Gibb and all them?
Yeah,
I mean
house. Zulema's there. That's months before.
Yeah,
and she's in Texas at Lori's home, but she doesn't know her good.
Yeah. So then you get Zulema's daughter tells the investigator that they're good friends, that they went to the same LDS church, that they were both preppers together.
Yeah, they clearly didn't get their story straight before they talked to investigators.
No.
She ratted mommy out as a liar.
Yeah. So there's other things throughout those that they didn't want them in their house. So they didn't want the police in the house. They thought they could just tell them, you get out. Well, I mean, with a death there, they have to secure the scene.
They have to take pictures and everything.
Yeah, they take pictures, but then they ended up getting a search warrant and going back, and they did take some evidence out. So
yeah.
Another key thing I thought was kind of big was Zulema. Her daughter says that Zulema and Alex knew each other before he moved to Idaho.
They all knew each other way before, we think, I believe.
It's going to be several years, I think.
I think so, too. If not like in person, at least online.
Yep. Here's another red flag for me. Zulema was supposed, and this is what her daughter said, Zulema was supposed to move to Idaho with Alex, but he ended up moving back with her. So after the ship started sinking, they weren't necessarily wanting to go to Idaho.
Well, I mean, at that point, I mean, Chad and Lori are married. You got Melanie, they're all married. And if you remember, like back in Vegas, what was it they said between Alex and Zulema that the marriage was almost like a business transaction?
Yep.
So look, the whole thing's weird. I'm really, really super interested to hear more about Zulema, and it's going to be a long time. But
yeah, we talked when they were doing this whole summer interview thing. We said, wait, what? Why haven't they released anything with Zulema?
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, it's because it's got to be important stuff.
Yeah, and even if it's not, Zulema has stayed out of the limelight. She's given no interviews, nothing like that. And that probably has to do with, that may be a condition of her immunity. I don't know. I mean, I don't really know how that works. I'm sure they can say, look, if you go to the press and start blabbing, we're going to take your immunity away.
Yeah.
It's not going to do her any good. I mean, it didn't go very well for Melanie Pulowski to get interviewed by all these channels. And you end up and I'm sure any good lawyer is going to tell you, don't go to the press, because if you slightly vary on things, people pick up on it, and I think it discredits witnesses.
Yeah.
Even if you don't mean for it to, it can.
Yeah. Now, she called the cops on one of those guys. He's on YouTube. I forget his name.
Tyson Draper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She called the cops on him. He was just standing across the street.
He's like, I talked to Zulema.
Yeah. And
is Zulema home?
Yeah. And they're like, call the cops. So
he's
did.
Awesome.
Like, yeah. It was
but
funny.
he did get one of Chad's kids, I think Garth, to talk to him.
Yeah, he did.
That was the only time I've ever seen any of Chad's kids approach anybody in the media without sticking their tongue out at him. And he seemed very grateful for Tyson. He had a very genuine smile, and we haven't heard anything about Chad's kids. It's Colby had posted a few things over Christmas.
Yep.
Very sad. But he looks like he's doing as good as he can. His faith is very strong, it seems, and seems very happy with his family. But
I think his wife just had a birthday.
Yeah, but the holidays had to have been hard for everybody. Charles's kids, Kay and Larry, anybody who loved Colby, his wife. Just holidays are hard.
Yep.
I don't care if you lose somebody naturally or suddenly or violently. It's just the holidays just seem to inflame it. You really just miss them more. So we hope everybody that loved these babies at least had some time this Christmas to smile and think about them.
Yep.
Some good memories come your way. But so I think that's about all we had.
Yeah, for this one.
We got more coming, guys.
Yeah, we still got to break down that 3 hour. And somebody asked for a link for that, and I cannot find it.
I'll look.
Yeah,
I'll see what
I couldn't because it's on a channel. It's like on a
investigation. Is it investigation discovery or investigative?
Something.
It's like
ID.
Yeah, ID channel.
ID channel or whatever.
It was so good.
It was good.
I just Kay and Larry. I swear, I think you and I would have a blast just hanging out with them.
Yeah. I would love to go through there.
Yeah.
So, but that's all we got. But hopefully we'll get another one out.
We're hoping to do another one, at least one more this week.
Yeah.
I think we probably got enough for a couple right now. Just kind of being behind with everything that's crazy that's gone on in our lives, but. Like we said, we're going to be back regular this year. At least, I think at least try to get one a week.
Yeah. You guys are awesome, though.
Yeah, you guys are the
out.
best.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much fun on Twitter, and I haven't been super active the last week. My son did really good with COVID, but he's been so tired. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, sleeping 12, 14 hours.
Yeah.
It's just, but overall, other than weakness and sleepiness, we're all... everybody's doing well, so that's what matters, and we're back in the swing. So,
yep.
Hopefully, nobody else gets the Rona.
Yep.
Ready for all this mess to be gone.
I know, right?
I just want to go to concerts and travel.
Poof, be gone. Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate everything, and we will come at you guys. I think probably mid to late week.
Yep.
So
sounds good.
Have a good night.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.